But as we shift our focus as educators, we have the huge task of also shifting the mindset of our students. Because once again, when you ask them about that, many of them are going to refer to AI as where they can get answers or where they know their friends are getting answers. But AI has huge potential for supporting students.
Welcome to the BJU Press Teacher Edition podcast, where Christian educators are encouraged and inspired as we bring you interviews, practical ideas, strategies, and answer your questions about teaching in today's culture. And here's your host, Jenny Copeland.
Welcome back to the next episode in our series on AI. We're focusing on generative AI. This is our 6th episode. If you haven't listened to the first 5, let me encourage you to go back and listen, not because I'm the expert with all the answers, but because I think it will provide a very simple overview of AI and how it's impacting education today. I'm excited to explore student use today. As we get started, don't forget to go check out our website, teachereditionpodcast.com. There you'll learn more about the show. You can sign up for our newsletter. And that's also where you can submit questions, and we will play those and answer them in our upcoming episodes. We are also Teacher Edition Pod on Instagram and TikTok, as well as Teacher Edition Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. So I titled this session, The Scoop on Student Use. Are students using AI? I think you could probably answer that question. How are they using it? What AI tools are they using? You know, we hear a lot, but what are the numbers telling us? So I've read a number of different sources and surveys and polls and studies. And of course, each is a little bit different, but the trends are the same. They're consistent. So as we get the scoop on student use, I've tried to combine those results and findings to create a realistic view, at least as of today. Let's take a look at some of these. First of all, take a look here. In 2024, 66% of students reported using AI in some form for their studies. Let's compare that to 2025. In 2025, 92% of students are reporting that they use AI in their studies. That's quite the jump. That's 26% in 1 year. Do you agree? Think back to last year, think to this year. What do you see? So if you have a classroom of 20 students, that's 18.4 of your students using AI. And you may say, well, they can't use it at school. I don't think they're using it. They are. They're using it at home. They have other ways to use that. 88% have used generative AI to complete assignments. Double the percentage of students in 2024. 88% of students. So think of your students, 88% of your students. If they're representative of the whole, they have used AI to complete their assignments. Approximately 24% of students report using AI daily, and this is all within the framework of academic work. So 24% of students report using AI daily, while 54% report using it at least weekly for academic work. So we have 24% using it every day, 54% saying, yeah, they use it at least weekly for their schoolwork. Those are some pretty high numbers. I hope you're soaking this in. For tools, 66% of students report using ChatGPT. So you may be wondering, what tools are they using? What is their go-to? I think we can all agree that ChatGPT kind of hit the education scene, the world scene, very powerfully, very prominently. So we are seeing students using that. 66% of students report using ChatGPT, and 89% of those indicate that they use ChatGPT for homework specifically. So we've already kind of talked about in some of the other sessions how students are chatting with it. It's becoming their friend. It's their go-to. And we talked about the dangers of that. We as humans, we want that relationship. We have that bonding draw. And with these AI resources such as ChatGPT being so conversational, so human, they're drawn to that. And that's very, very dangerous. There is something about a chatbot that may have realistic characteristics, but it is not real. Think of dealing with a human versus dealing with a chatbot. The chat bot is giving you positive feedback. It's telling you what you want to hear. It's encouraging you. Sure, maybe all those things you want in an ideal friend, but that is not real life. And by the way, where is the biblical worldview in that? And well, there are a number of things we could talk about in that. So looking at these numbers, 66% are using ChatGPT. 89% of those say they're using it on their homework specifically. By the way, each of these tools has some type of age limit, whether it's 18 and over. Some of them are 13 to 18 with parental consent. We have to be really mindful of that. We have young students using this. I was speaking at a conference, and one of the teachers was sharing that they had a first grade student who turned in a project done with AI. So, okay, maybe we can hope the parent was doing it and they were just working on it together, but these are all things to consider. Let's keep moving. So how does student use compare to the general population? We've obviously looked at some pretty high percentages there. Well, students are at about 92% using it. General population is coming in at about 66%. So we can see student use is quite a bit higher. It's also interesting to note that the general population usage has a lot more a variety, has a wide variety in what it's using it for. And it's very focused mainly on productivity. Okay, student use, yeah, a little more varied there. Another statistic you might find interesting, in 2025, AI will see the largest single-year adoption increase with an expected 64.4 million new users. So this is just new in 2025. I mean, wouldn't you think by now we're all through the door, everyone who's going to use it is using it? No. And you know, every day, as you learn more about it, maybe even in these episodes, some of you have become among the 64.4 million as you've learned how this tool can be a help to you. But the growing number of users is staggering. And interestingly enough, the United States leads the way with nearly 1/3 of all new AI users in 2025. So there are some other really big countries you would have thought that they would have weighed in there, but no, we are right at the top of this. But there is growth outside of education as well. So we've kind of just focused on education because that's where we live and breathe, and that's our life there. But there are things going on outside of education as well. Let's look at some of those. First of all, 78% of organizations use some form of AI for automation or efficiency. 78%. So this could be for meetings, for analysis, all kinds of different possibilities there. 78% of organizations. 89% of small businesses are using AI to automate routine tasks and boost productivity. That's a significant number, 89%. And again, I looked at a number of different studies and a lot of different feedback, and I'm really trying to err on the very conservative side of this, and yet still these numbers are really high. See what you think about this one. 90% of hospitals employ AI for diagnosis and monitoring. I have asked this of many educators. What do you think of that? And it's kind of, So maybe there's some benefit in that you get it back quicker. Maybe it's more thorough. I'm not sure. But again, there's still kind of that iffiness of, do I really want to entrust my health to AI? But nonetheless, at this point, around 90% of hospitals employ AI for diagnosis and monitoring. So as we look at what it can do and how it's being used and where we should be cautious, again, it all comes back to that focus. And specifically here, this session, we're talking about student use. I know it kind of veered off a little bit there to make that connection and comparison. But as we shift our focus as educators, we have the huge task of also shifting the mindset of our students. Because once again, when you ask them about that, many of them are going to refer to AI as where they can get answers or where they know their friends are getting answers. But AI has huge potential for supporting students. And I want to spend the last few minutes in this episode talking about how AI can help students. So how can AI be that personalized tutor? We've talked about how it can be a personal assistant to teachers. It can be that personalized tutor for students. I want you to think of the characteristics of a teacher who does really strong remediation, who is a really strong remediator, like they know how to help those students. List off in your mind some characteristics of that type of teacher. Maybe you said things or thought things like they have sound pedagogy. They really know their content. They really know their strategies. They really know how these students think. They're really good at scaffolding, right? So taking where a student is and building on that. They're really good at personalized learning. So once again, we're looking at that student, seeing what they need, and we're able to build on that. That's what we want also in an AI tutor. So we're not just going to settle for anything because, hey, it's a tool and it's shiny and it's fun to use. No, we want to look for those same characteristics in the help that we get from AI. So here's a few ideas. It can provide appropriate help. Okay, that is super broad, but often we think about what can it give us? What can it create? What answer can it give us? What final product? But it can be a support along the way. Again, this is a mindset shift. Another one, it can analyze responses and then personalize the next experience. We talked about this some in the last session where we talked about how based on how the student does on a review game or on flashcards, it then creates the next experience for them. That's something AI can do to support students. So when they review their multiplication facts or their states and capitals, it's creating that next experience based on their response. It can provide immediate feedback. You cannot be there all the time with the students. I know you wish you were. Just kidding. You cannot go home with them and be there right then and say, oh, reconsider that. Oh, check your work. Try this again. So often they can work all evening on homework and do it incorrectly. They could study for an assessment incorrectly or with wrong understanding or misunderstanding and that misinformation. But AI can provide that immediate feedback for them to check their knowledge, to check their understanding, and give them that feedback so they can grow and improve. Again, we do not want to promote this, obviously, as just giving them answers. We want it to be Socratic in nature, where it's helping them build on that learning. It can create content tailored to their needs. So we have talked about some examples of this, of leveling down questions or leveling down text or leveling up text. And we talk about students who struggle, but they're also students who need a challenge, who need more, and AI can help meet those needs. We can also use AI to deliver information multimodally. So not just typing it. It can help them create something or record something or give ideas of how they can do that so we can challenge our students. Not all of them learn alike. And often we assess, we teach the way we were taught or how we feel comfortable, maybe how we learn. Is that what's best for the students? Often it's not. And often when you look over your classroom, you may have one or two who learn that way, but the rest are learning other ways. Do we reach them? And often we say, I don't have time. I just run out of hours. I can't come up with something. I don't even know how I would bring in, other modalities into this lesson. Well, AI can help that and help provide that personalized experience for those students. It can also simplify. You've explained a concept, they're just not getting it. AI can help simplify it, define it, translate it. Maybe you have English language learners. Maybe you even have parents who struggle with English, and using this type of tool as you partner with them could be a help. It can be their assistant. It is there for them to talk to. And I'm not talking about going to it for counseling and friendship and things like that, but to run ideas by, I need to write something. Am I headed the right direction? It can give them that feedback and be that assistant. So here are some just examples. We could, again, spend months and months talking about different ways and looking at different tools. But here are some very specific examples. Some I've already mentioned. It can create review questions for that student. I know of students who sit with AI, an appropriate, age-appropriate, the right use of it, and basically say, I have a quiz over such and such tomorrow. Can you quiz me? And it gives them a question, answer, and it's self-checking. So it's giving them that feedback. It's not like them flipping the flashcards and, I don't know if it's right. I put it here if it's not. Or maybe I answer and I don't know if it's right till tomorrow. It's actually giving them that real-time feedback to check their understanding. So I have a quiz over such and such. This is what I'm understanding. Am I correct? Again, explaining concepts at any depth. It can re-level any of that. Breaking down skills into step-by-step. Some of our students, that's how they think. They're very linear. Instead of here's your concept, it's here's how you can break it down. Maybe a way to remember it or a way to move through a process. It can escalate knowledge. As I just mentioned, some of our students need a challenge. They need to go to the next level. They've learned this concept, they got it, or maybe they're already familiar with it. How can you keep that learning going? Don't let them just sit and vegetate. Take them to the next level, and AI can help you with that. And then also getting feedback on that work. So this is something, again, using an appropriate tool, maybe like Trek AI, Magic School AI, School AI. There are so many different tools where they can actually do their writing right in the tool, and it's going to help them with that and say, okay, we have some spelling issues. Let's go back and review your spelling. So they go back and do that. Now we have some incomplete sentences, or let's check our facts here. So it would be like you sitting next to them, helping them walk through that process. They're getting feedback on that work in real time. Now, thinking about some of the tools that we have talked about, take these characteristics that we talked about of how AI can help, and let's apply them to those tools so it can provide appropriate help. It can analyze responses and personalize, give immediate feedback, create content that is tailored to needs, deliver information multimodally, and simplify and define, translate, and assist. Now, let's put these tools next to that. ChatGPT, Trek AI, Brisk, Edpuzzle, Snorkel, Padlet, Conmigo, Wayground, School AI, Magic School. Okay, we can lay these out next to it. How could you use those tools with this in mind? So there is the teacher side with the teacher tools that you can use to create things. But now look at these through the mind of how this can help, through the eye of how this can help your student. How can this create something? Brisk, okay? They are going to tonight look at a website. This can help you create review questions from what they read to see if they understand it. And it can be self-correcting so they can know right away how they did. Edpuzzle. It's giving them feedback along the way as they're doing different assessments and different activities. Snorkel, they can be working those math problems. And this is really used a lot in middle school and high school, especially right now. And of course, you have put in those ideal answers. So it's giving them that feedback. They can submit it and get that feedback and then rework that question. By the way, when it comes to you in Snorkel, it shows what they submitted first, what feedback they got, what they submitted again. So you're seeing that learning process going on, even though you are not sitting right there with them. School AI, Magic School AI, where you're giving them that space to do that research, to learn more about that in that safe space. And then, of course, things like Wayground or Formative, others like that are helping you writing those review questions. How many times have you been asked by a student, can we do a review game? Or can you send me something that I can practice? Or parents are asking, do you have more practice pages or practice activities we can do? And you just think, the sun keeps going down every night and I can't get everything done. AI can help you with that. So it again becomes like a tutor. It becomes an assistant for that student as it's helping to create those questions that again create those activities, and your students can help review in using those activities. So again, it is a mindset shift for educators, but also for students. AI is not going away. We have an incredible opportunity to guide the students to use these tools appropriately. As a partner, not as a solution, as a starting point, not as just an endpoint where we copy and paste an answer. And most importantly, to use them in a God-honoring way. So that is the scoop on students. Yes, they are using AI. And even if it is banned at your school, they are using it. Trust me. Every time I see these numbers and I talk about these tools, I'm again challenged with the incredible responsibility that God has given to us to be here right now at this time in the history of the world to impact these students that God has given to you. Yes, even in their use of technology. I hope you'll join us next time for our next episode. We're going to be talking about reimagining assessments. It kind of goes along with this. Misuse of AI is prevalent. We know that. How can we help by creating assessments that continue to assess the right thing, but they are created in a way that makes using these tools not so easy and honestly, not so inviting? So as we wrap up for today, one more reminder to go to teachereditionpodcast.com to learn more about the show and to submit your questions for upcoming episodes. Of course, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media. Now it's time to get back to your day. But again, it's not just any day. Every day in the classroom is your day to impact and inspire through God's power and through His grace working in you. Now, go do what God has called you to do.